السلام عليكم. Hi everyone. I hope you are doing well. رمضان مبارك كريم والله أكرم. يدخل لكم بصحة والسلامة وكاع داكشي اللي كتمناو. Alors today we will have comparative adjectives. But before I should remember you about two essential things. First of all, the difference between vowel and consonant, and secondly, how we can count syllables. So the difference between vowel and consonant we should recognize is that vowel are A, E, I, O, and U, and the other letters are consonant. Les voyelles هما هادو خمسة. Les consonnes هما les lettres الأخرين بحال B, C, D هما les consonnes. Secondly, we need this to know about syllables, to count syllables. So when we want to count syllables, we don't need to count how much vowel we have, but we need to count how much vowel sounds we have in the word. For example, tall, tall. We have just one syllable. ماشي حيت عندي une voyelle عندي غير voyelle وحدة، لا، حيت عندي un vowel sound, one vowel sound. What does it mean؟ يعني ما يمكنش ليا وانا تنقول tall، ما يمكنش ليا نقسمها، ما يمكنش ليا نقول tall. It's just one vowel sound. غير vowel sound وحدة غادي هو نطق واحد، ما يمكنش ليا نكوبيها. I can't dispatch it on two vowels, on two vowel sounds. Big حتى هي ما يمكنش ليا نقسمها، فكنقول big is just one syllable ولا one vowel sound. Happy. Now, happy. We have two vowel sounds. Happy. Beautiful. Beautiful. We have three vowel sounds. Expensive. Expensive. We have three vowel sounds. And we can have words that we have more than three vowel sounds. What you should what you should focus on is the difference between vowel and consonant. Les voyelles هما A, E, I, O, U خمسة. Des fois Y كنعتبروها حتى هي voyelle. Les consonnes هما les autres lettres. Maintenant les syllabes. جو ما عرفتش واش عاقلين عليها من شحال هادي، ولكن بون سي جوست بور فو رابلي لان غنحتاجوها في comparative adjectives. Les syllabes c'est comment on peut prononcer le mot. واش كنقسموا le mot ولا ما كنقسموش. For example, when I say big, I can't dispatch it. I can say it just big. One vowel sound يعني فيها syllable وحده. Alors now comparative adjective, what does it mean? Comparative is something to compare two or more things. Adjective. What does it mean, adjective? Adjective is a word which is used to describe something, some place, or some persons. Well, you can go comparative adjective. يعني كنقصد بها شنو هما اللي adjective هو النعت اللي غادي نقارن به جوج الناس أو أكثر، جوج الناس أو جوج الأشياء أو جوج الأماكن. When we use it, فوقاش كنستعملوها؟ We use it when we have to compare between two or more things, persons and places. ملي كيكون عندي خاصني نقارن ما بين جوج ديال أو أكثر ديال الحوايج ديال لي بيرسون وديال الأماكن. Or when we have to compare the same person in over time. For example, I can say نكومباري لا بيرسون وحدة ولكن مع الوقت. مثلا هذا العام والعام اللي داز. مثلا ممكن نقول أنني العام اللي داز كنت je sais pas, كنت فرحانة أكثر من هذا العام أو لا في الشكل je ne sais pas comment j'étais, etc. Alors, one person, one thing, and one place in over time. How we form it? How we form comparative adjective? We can form it by using subject plus the verb. In general, usually we use the verb to be plus the comparative adjectives plus then, the then is used as a word which uses to compare something with another thing. For example, I can say, you are beautiful than me. You are beautiful than me. Subject, le nom qu'on va utiliser, plus le verbe, généralement c'est comme verb to be, comparative adjective, هو اللي غنشوفو دابا, et puis then, plus يا إما كيكون هنايا noun, for example, Rita is more beautiful than Halima ou je ne sais quoi, ou là تيكون than me, for example, like a pronoun. Well, d'abord, how we can have comparative adjective, or how we can form it. How we can form it. تاك comparative adjectives اللي عندنا في الفورم تما في الوسط كيفاش ممكن ناخدوه، كيفاش ممكن نكونوه. إلا one syllable. هادشي علاش قلت لكم خصكم تعرفوا كيفاش كناخذوا لي سيلاب وكنحسبوا لي سيلاب how we can syllable just to choose the manner we can form the comparative adjective. So when we have one syllable, just one syllable, like the adjective hard, I can just add er. So I can say harder, harder, small. One syllable, I can add er and say smaller. But when we have one syllable, but this time we have an adjective which ends with e, then we can add just an er. Fine, finer, nice, nicer. We have another case when we have one syllable, but here we have vowel and consonant, don't forget. So B is a consonant. When we have consonant plus vowel plus consonant, then we should say that we should double the last letter to have the adjective. ملي كيكون عندي هاد لا فورمول هادي consonant plus voyelle plus consonant, je suis dans l'obligation de doubler la dernière lettre. كندوبل la lettre الأخرية. Donc كنقول bigger, big, bigger, hot, hotter. So what you should focus on is that when we have one syllable, ملي كيكون عندي سيلاب وحدة, one syllable, either I just add er, such as hard, harder, small, smaller, or when we have an adjective which ends with ملي كيكون l'adjectif كيستعمل ب pardon, alors هنا كنزيد غير er. ملي كيكون عندي an adjective اللي كيكون مكون من consonant, vowel plus consonant plus voyelle plus consonant, هنا كندوبل داك لا لتر الاخريه كاع. The last consonant, I should double the last consonant and then add er. When we have two syllables such as famous, 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 or careful, careful, when we have two syllables, we should add more or less. More أكثر, less أقل. So I can say she's more famous than me. She is more famous than me. هي مشهورة أكثر مني. She is more famous than me. She is less careful than me. Careful, prudent, prudente. Alors less, more أكثر, less أقل. ملي كيكون عندي دو سيلاب كيكون صعب عليا أني نزيد er في الآخر. famouser فيها استثقال, صعبة. carefuler, I can't say it. So I can say more famous or less famous, more careful or less careful. وهنا في لا فورم ما غاديش يولي عندي ديريكتومون لو فيرب بلس الكومباراتيف ادجكتيف, ولكن غيولي عندي لو فيرب بلس هاد لا فورم هادي كلها more famous than شي حاجة. We have another case when we have two syllables such as busy, 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 happy, happy. We have two syllables. When the adjective ends by y, we should transform the y to I and then add er. So it will be busier, happy, happier, happy, happier. When we have two syllables, we have some adjectives with which we can't add er, but we have other adjectives that we can just escape the y and change it to I and then add er. The most simple one is when we have three or more syllables, three or more, ثلاثة أو أكثر من ثلاثة ديال لي سيلاب, such as beautiful, 3 syllables. So you don't have to think a lot, you should just add more or less. More beautiful, less expensive, more delicious or less delicious. So finally we have some irregular adjectives such as good and bad, good and bad. And we have other irregular adjectives, but I should limit my irregulars in good and bad. When we have good, I can't say gooder, neither say more good. I cannot say the two forms, so I should say better, bad, worse. I should change completely the adjective to better or bad to worse. So, in general, what we should focus on is that, first of all, when we use comparative adjectives, we use it to compare, نقارن, two or more things, persons, or places. And then another use is that when we want to compare one person or one thing or one place over the time. How we form it? We form comparative adjectives like this: subject or noun plus the verb to be, as usual, but we can use another verb plus comparative adjective plus then plus another noun or pronoun or something else. When we have one syllable, we have three cases you should remember. Hard, when we have one syllable, hard, harder. Adjectives that we should add just er, and other adjectives which ends by e, we should just add an r. And adjectives which are formed like this: consonant plus vowel plus consonant, and then we should double the last letter and add er. We have also two syllables. So when we have two syllables, either we use more or less, or other adjectives like busy and happy, two syllables but which ends by y, we should change the y to I and then say busier, add I-E-R. When we have three or more syllables, we should just add more or less, more or less. And then we have such irregular adjectives such as good and bad. We should transform it to better and worse. Example: she is more beautiful, comparative adjective, than me. She is more beautiful than me. I wish that I was so obvious and so clear. I wish the lesson is so obvious. كنتمنى تكون la lesson مفهومة. And comparative adjectives, now you can use it. I will just remind you about syllables, how to count syllables. And I will tell you, for example, to have comparative. How much syllables we have here? Comparative, comparative, comparative. So we have 4 syllables. For example, places, places. We have how much? 2. Person, person, person. 2 syllables. I wish it was so obvious. Thank you for watching the video, and see you next time, inshallah.